Welcome to Chronic Combat Conversation, a live look at our best bets, picks, and predictions, with your hosts, TV Scouting MMA and
the MMA Guru, back once again for UFC Vegas 30, UFC Fight Night 190, and UFC on ESPN Plus 48, Gane versus Volkov, a heavyweight main event with a heavyweight co-main event. I mean, this is a damn good card. Honestly, last week's was a sleeper card, like really good. So it'll be interesting to see if this card can live up to even last week's card, especially with the next card looming, UFC 264. Yeah, really, really exciting. But we have a special guest in the building today, ladies and gentlemen.
man, I hope you guys are ready.
Our original inaugural guest. He's a winner. He makes bank.
Big money.
UFC is his game. The UFC Shark. Welcome back, buddy. Thanks for joining us.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me back. Appreciate it.
Happy to have you, man.
Thanks, man. That's it. I got to win this card now. Live up to that intro.
Yeah, man. Listen, it's a tough business to be a part of, but you seem that you do make it look easy at times. We know it's not easy, so that's why we put the work in.
Yeah, for sure. Last week's card was really good. Last week's card came pretty easy for me, and I know you guys did well too.
Yeah.
We spoke and we all agreed on Zombie. That was great. That was a good win. I saw everyone was on Ige. I mean, I don't know anyone that was on Zombie but us three.
That line ballooned up at closing. Zombie was plus 130 right before the fight started. I mean, and on DraftKings and FanDuel. I mean, it was egregious.
I noticed a pattern when that happens. You take the fighter who is becoming more the dog.
I was going to say it's generally late public money that comes in, I feel like. So that late public money, like people, that's the last second. Your friend told your friend to bet Ige. So now everybody's betting Ige. Like it just kind of spreads and he becomes, the public dog actually. I mean, the public gets it wrong in the fact that they have the wrong side and the line becomes too wide.
For sure. I love fading the public. I love it.
Hell yeah.
So,
I mean, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, this is great. So happy to have the Shark back on, and why waste any more time, boys? Let's get right down to business. We're gonna kick this card off with a pretty exciting matchup that was actually booked before. We did already spend a little bit of time going over it on a different pod, but Yancey Medeiros versus Damir Hadzovich. This one is probably primed to be a fun fight. I think, we did go over at length, how exciting this matchup would be. But now that we have Shark on, let's focus on the line here for this matchup. Hadzovich at minus 150, Medeiros at plus 120. Pretty classic type of grappler versus striker type of deal in my eyes. And I think we could see an exciting fight.
I was also going to say, for anybody that wanted to go back and listen, that was on the Font Garbrandt card. So we have that breakdown in our Font Garbrandt card. So if you did want to re-listen to us talk about that, you certainly can. But let's keep listening right now.
Hell yeah. So Shark, I mean, is there anything you're seeing in this line for this fight? Because I'm not so sure I had a play on this one.
All right, so not really, but I do think I think this should be closer to a pick'em in my opinion. When I was doing a little research, I was actually surprised that Damir's minus 150. I thought that was a little high, To be honest with you, this line system that I follow, I've noticed DraftKings has been switching it up. Part of me regrets. I used to, go on my Instagram and talk about it a lot and say, oh, I have this line system movement. And, I've told people about it before and different things like that. And I guess went like public with it. And I don't know if it was just a coincidence, but I've noticed DraftKings has switched it up. A lot of the line movements that used to win now lose. And they've been, it's like they've been losing. And I'm like, what? Like, it's weird. I've never seen this lose in a year and a half, 2 years since I've been following it. And all of a sudden it loses. It's. So,
yeah, definitely fishy.
I just have to focus more because there were times I've only relied on the line. I've just picked off that and I've won off it so constantly. And then lately when I do it, I've been losing from that. So now I just got to be a little more focused and not only just love the line, I have to love the fighter as well.
Yeah.
But I thought this line should be closer, to be honest. And if I had to pick one, I would take Medeiros just because I feel like he's faced higher competition. He's been around. In my opinion, I think he's definitely faced higher competition. What do you guys think about that?
I certainly agree in terms of the higher level of competition. His last 3 losses being Donald Cowboy Cerrone when he was on a little bit of a tear, Gregor Gillespie, who's a beast, and Lando Venata, who's definitely a shifty, difficult fighter. Can't knock Hadzovich's. It's a chokeout loss in 40 seconds to Henato Moycano. Moycano's, obviously a beast on the ground. But no, you're right. The level of competition is certainly different. I think when we capped this fight originally, we felt that this is like if Yancey Medeiros loses, this would very well be his last fight. So I think his career's on the line here and with the UFC. I think if I had to make a play, I think I lean under. I think I'm going to go back to kind of leaning on my theory that they're picking a specific fight to be kind of exciting to start the card. And in a small cage, yeah, I think that one of these guys gets the finish. So maybe under 2.5 at plus 128 or even money just for the fight not to go the distance.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid play. I do think I will sit out on this one. It doesn't scream to me. I didn't really find a side that I was in love with. And like Shark said, I do think it could be lined closer to a pick'em given the experience. So given
I do agree with all that.
Yeah.
I mean, so with that being said, do we think that like if the line should be closer, does that mean we should be playing the dog?
Because I think it should be closer doesn't mean I think that there's like a surefire side. And usually, like, I want to be sure that
just in the fact that we think that there might be value on the dog.
No, I know. I want to give you my my thought real quick. Is just that sometimes we play value, but we say like, I really don't necessarily think this guy's going to win on like a plus 120. I got to think like that person's winning, like, and the line is wrong. I just think that the line should be closer. So that's why I'm not like really excited to pull the trigger.
That makes sense. I agree with that.
Yeah. So,
Talk anything to add?
No, I'm just was saying, I'm not going to bet this fight. It's the first fight of the card. It's early. I'll be running around, getting settled in. I don't love it, like you guys said, it doesn't scream, anything. It's just, I don't know.
Maybe the guitar hero Justin James will scream something to you.
Yeah, so good segue. Here we are, moving along to the next fight. Shark hit that mute.
Thanks, bud.
All right. So moving right along to the next fight, like you so mentioned, we got the guitar hero, Justin James, but his counterpart, the matchup, Charles Rosa, someone that might have let us down last time, but trying not to let that cloud my vision too much this time. Coming into this matchup, it's real easy to want to say like Rosa has like such a high level jiu-jitsu and everything else like that. I just don't trust that.
We've started learning to not play that black belt game, right? You sent out a sick tweet last week. We're not playing that black belt game anymore.
Yeah,
and that was a prime example of it that we didn't necessarily register. We thought Charles Rosa had we understood Derek Minner, right? Was a purple belt, like a black, like that he was good at submissions, but like, oh, Charles Rosa's black belt, his jiu-jitsu is so good. He got mollywopped with the wrestling. It didn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, and you see that time and time again with
what was it
Charles
last week?
Rosa.
How many different belt situations did we have last week?
Okay, so we had Casey O'Neill was the lower level belt against Lara Procopio. That was something I leaned on in my scouting. Then we had
that led to a mistake. To be clear. Yeah, unfortunately.
Definitely. Korean Zombie was a brown belt and Ige was a black belt. Now they're both black belts. Look at that.
Yeah, shout out Korean Zombie earning his black belt. That was awesome.
And then Sergey Spivak, we saw him win in a lot of wrestling exchanges against, the ultra black belt Alexei Oleinik. So I think it's so easy for us to want to talk about the jiu-jitsu, but we do have to focus on the wrestling. And isn't it so interesting? Justin Janes out of Extreme Couture, I believe he actually does a little bit of the coaching for the wrestling there. High school wrestling, he lost to Jakar Close in the state championship, actually. And he was a 4 years at NCAA. Yeah, dude, right? And then 4 years of D1 wrestling NCAA. So it's like he's got plenty of experience. Janes, I don't know how great his jiu-jitsu is specifically, but I know he has 5 submissions and only 1 submission loss. And that submission loss was to Gavin Tucker, where he gassed out towards the end in the 3rd round. So I can excuse that, a UFC level submission loss. It makes sense. And I don't think that, Rosa is necessarily the same type of threat on the feet as Janes is. And, it could get real interesting if, Janes charges forward early. I'm not sure a knockout is necessarily live. Rosa's only been finished once in his career, and that was Shane Burgos in round 3. I don't think Janes necessarily finishes him, but
You're playing the dog here?
I might be playing a dog. Justin Janes looked really good in the photo I saw of him next to Charles Rosa, like the best shape I've seen him in the UFC. He's got a full camp this time. I just
this is his first fight with a full camp.
I think
he took Smith on short notice. Did he take Benitez on short notice?
He's on a full camp, James. You're right about that. He's on a full camp.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I think.
Charles on a full camp too. So
of course, he's cooking for himself. So the line: Charles Rosa minus 177, Justin James plus 140. I think it would be really interesting to see, what type of props are we talking about? Because I'm not so sure I want to play that plus 140 for a money line for James, but plus 375 for a decision, just because Rosa is really difficult to finish. I think it could be interesting if there's some wrestling and some striking.
Sorry to interrupt, and I know that you love DraftKings, but FanDuel has Justin James by decision at plus 460. So that's major line difference that you kind of can't ignore.
Tell me again, what'd you say that prop bet was? James by decision, you said?
Yes. Plus 460?
Yeah.
I don't really know, man. I originally was leaning towards James. Then I liked Rosa. And to be honest, I really don't know why. But probably because of the experience. Mm. I just feel like Charles Rosa been in there with better competition, better fighters. He's got better wins, better losses, if that makes sense.
He's lost to better people, but his wins are debatably the same. Actually, I guess not really, because all James has beat is Frank Camacho. If he didn't win that Frank Camacho fight, he would not still be in the UFC. He did the UFC a favor by stepping in against Devontae Smith, so they gave him another fight here, maybe even a couple more after this. I don't know what he might have signed another 3 or 4 fight deal or something, but I don't know. To me, this is a stay away fight because you can't really trust either guy. Rosa looked terrible against Darrick Minner. If he loses here to Justin James, and you lose to Justin James, you're at the bottom of the barrel. So no disrespect to Justin James, but at 34 for Charles Rosa, this is huge crossroads, do or die time. He didn't seem to be in trouble before the Darrick Minner fight, But on a 2-fight skid, losing to Justin James, he's got big problems. And Justin James, like I said, he's lost now 3 fights in a row. He's done the UFC a couple favors. So TB just shared with me right before we came on an Overtime Heroics article where Justin James talked about the fact that he put $25K, pretty much his entire contract, into this fight. And I don't know, that he has a permanent black eye, he feels. He feels that he has a permanent black eye that will never heal or something. I don't know what that is. Like a hematoma or something. That can't be a good thing, right? Like
Yeah, no, I really don't think so. But realistically, that's why I'm not really rushing to play the shorter plus 140 money line. And I don't have like a heavy pick on this fight, but Rosa's disappointed plenty of times. Yeah, definitely weigh-ins, face-offs. But Rosa's disappointed me enough. James has disappointed everybody plenty, but he's always down for an exciting fight. And like Rosa, I just don't know if he throws hands enough to really hurt James like that. It's more like, does he catch him by submission is really the worry for him. But like, I don't know. I think we fleshed this one out enough.
Go the distance? You know? How about the fight to go the distance plus 114? Nobody gets a finish. But that's what you can. I don't know if you can even trust James. Like, that's so crazy.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think James probably gets finished if he loses based on the grappling, difference. But like, I think if James wins, it could be a knockout or a decision. So
Rosa by submission is plus 280. Rosa by KO is plus 900.
Yeah, but like, I think that's fairly reflected, and like, I don't see it happening.
I think the safest play here, in my opinion, if I do some crazy Hail Mary parlay or something, I would take Charles Rosa. It's a good fight for him. What else do you want? Who the fuck else do you want to fight? They're giving you Justin James. Like, you fought a lot of good fighters. Bryce Mitchell went the distance with him. Derek Minner. Derek Minner's not bad, man. He's gotten a lot better. Went in there with a good game plan. When they fought. He fought Shane Burgos, Yair Rodriguez. I mean, now you're getting Justin James. What else do you want? If you can't win, go fight in PFL or something like that.
That's 100%. It's 100% a crossroads fight. You're 1,000% right.
Justin James is just like a filler, and I don't know. Well, I mean, he trained. Where's he trained? Justin James at
Extreme Couture, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't even mean anything. I mean, I'm sure it's better.
A pretty transient gym. We've talked about that.
But it is what it is. That's why I think the safest play is Charles Rosa, in my opinion. But like before, you guys were talking,
he really might look like a similar fight I think of later, like the Andre Feely fight. Not to tip my hand too early, but I think it could be very similar, like the Andre Feely fight, where like Charles Rosa is like just kind of gonna win. Like it's the better. I don't know if it's a lock of the night kind of thing or whatever. I'm sure both of these guys are gonna lose now, but
Justin James seems tempting plus 140. But before, we were talking, and I always say this, you can't just chase value. You got to chase the winners. You got to go for the winners, not the value. Like, oh, this line looks good, and this guy has a chance, but it's good value. Every time I try
talk yourself into it,
value, or like when I used to sell picks and I was trying to make these high parlays for the people that might come in because that's what everyone wants, I would lose. And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I picking fights I don't even like really love? So I don't know. I'm not taking Justin James just because he's plus 140. And Charles Rosa minus 177, I don't know. I think that line's a little spread out. I think Charles Rosa's minus 177 for a reason. I think Justin James does not belong in the UFC. Charles Rosa's bottom of the barrel, but what else do you want, man? You got Justin James. He should be so happy he has this fight, in my opinion.
I think that's why he's bet it all on himself. So I think we're ready to move along to the next fight, which is another rebooked fight after Julia Stoliarenko had that really horrible scene at weigh-ins where they made her go back up and then she collapsed. It was that was really awful to see.
Really
and
scary.
Then we have Julia Avila on the other side. TB? That stole your job here a little bit.
That's all good. Yeah, I mean, honestly, if there was going to be one fight I didn't really want to spend too much time breaking down, to be honest with you, it's probably this one. I really didn't have great feelings about it last time. Now it's rebooked. The line's minus 345, Julia Avila, and plus 260, Julia Stoliarenko. Is that probably fair? I mean, yeah, probably. I just don't. I'm not going to go ahead and parlay it with Avila, and I'm not going to try to fade Avila with Stoliarenko. I mean,
Yeah.
props to you if you cash on that, but I mean,
If you do want to hear our previous breakdown of it, that was the first fight on the Brunson Holland breakdown. So obviously not right now, but you could go hear that as well. Yeah, I think like we said before, Avila's should have the power on the feet, but she's not as good off her back. And that while Stoliarenko, we kind of maybe think that the UFC expects a decent amount from her because her fight against, they put her against Yana Kunitskaya, and Kunitskaya completely, smothered her, but we know how good her wrestling is. So we'll see. I'm certainly way independent. I don't want to place any sort of money on this. TB. Shark, did you see anything that we don't see on this?
Yeah, I actually like something on this fight. I like Stoliarenko. I think it's going to be an upset. This is one of the upsets on the card. Reason why I like it is because of the line. So I have this system I follow that I was talking about earlier, and I've seen the dog when it's at this line. When I've seen it at this line before, it cashes a lot, and I just think it's a good dog. I don't know why the odds are like this, so far apart. I feel like that's crazy. Like, I don't know, am I missing something? What has Julia Avila done?
She shredded Gina Mazzani, but everybody
Gina
Gina
Mazzani sucks. She doesn't belong in the UFC. I'm sorry. She's a nice person. I've actually put a bet on her, and it came in a parlay, and I won all this money and tagged her in it. And I spoke to her on Instagram. She's cool and nice, but I don't think she's, that's not impressive. That doesn't impress me that she did that. Wow, big deal. You're minus 345 because you beat, what's her name again? Jillian Robertson? Who'd she beat? Oh, okay. Sorry, I have a bunch of shit going on right now looking at all these different fights. But, yeah. All right, you didn't want to spend a lot of time on this fight. But I think, I said before, I don't like chasing value. But, I'm going to say.
You're right. At plus, what's the line? Like plus 300 or something?
Plus 260, Stoliarenko. I think she can win. It could be an upset. And I feel like it's worth putting it into a small parlay. Like if you have $100 or $50, whatever type of bettor you are, I think it's worth putting that in some kind of parlay. It's not like it's Amanda Nunes or Valentina Shevchenko fighting, someone. This is winnable. But so I feel like there's value on that for a small have fun parlay,
All right.
I think to your point.
Respect that.
Yeah, I do respect that. And I think to your point, there's a certain degree of like variability and like randomness that can just happen in the UFC, especially sports in general, but especially in the UFC. So, yeah, I mean, these are both relatively unproven prospects. So why not? Why isn't it maybe a little bit closer to a coin flip? It's not like there's a giant mismatch in terms of the matchup, right? Like it's not like she's a terrible striker and she's gonna, but right, there's not like a crazy matchup advantage, right?
I guess to me it's I think if you are looking at a dog that's plus 260, it takes a lot less to convince me to play that than it does, like I said earlier, like a plus 140. So Shark, maybe I'll be looking at weigh-ins, see if she looks good this time. And I might end up following you. That could be some good advice. So let's get on to the next fight, where I do think someone won a little money on Marcin Prachnio last time out, if I remember correctly. Mr. Shark, is that right?
Yeah, he kept that to himself, though.
Hey, listen, I wouldn't want to share with my friends that I'm betting on Marcin Prachnio.
I didn't. I actually took Khalil Roundtree that fight.
Oh, damn.
I did. And you know what? I'm going to tell you something.
Now I feel like a dick.
That fight haunts me till this day because I wasn't going to touch that fight. I said, I'm not touching that fight. And then that I got every fight that I picked and parlayed correct except that one. And I put Khalil Roundtree in almost every parlay. And then in every parlay I didn't put Khalil Roundtree, I put that fight would not go the distance. Okay.
Ooh.
And I was like, I need one. I just don't need, Morrison to win on points, and I'm good. That's it. And the reason why I put Khalil Roundtree in that and I touched that fight was because I was listening to some fucking YouTube guy, and he was like, Khalil Roundtree, my most confident pick. And then I was like, let me take a peek at that fight. And I started looking, and I'm like, I don't see Khalil Roundtree losing, right? So that really fucked me. And I'm going to tell you something. I would have been over $60,000 richer if Khalil Roundtree won. And you know what? Khalil Roundtree had a fucking chance to finish him in that fight.
So here's my theory on the line and taking lessons from what are we talking about here? Trusting fighters that aren't good and having more than like a minus 200 next to their name. Marcin Prachnio, minus 215. Ike Villanueva plus 170. Both of these guys should be plus 170 in this fight, if that was even possible. You know what I mean?
Nobody's going to win.
No, so, okay. Prachnio was like, basically, it was the reverse of this, except Roundtree was like minus 300, and Prachnio was like plus 260, something like that last time out. And Prachnio...
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Roundtree was minus 400. He was minus 345 on DraftKings, and I think other places it was like around that range.
You started ballooning up.
Yeah, no, see, Shark, there you go. See, that's even more so. Okay, so it's not that dramatic a line split, and I get it. Ike Villanueva could lose here, but like, is there any way I could ever trust minus 215 on Marcin Prachnio? Nope. Okay, so if there's anything to do, I mean, all right, let's just dive right into the props here. Prachnio versus Villanueva, Villanueva to win by finish is plus 260, and by knockout is plus 275. So you might as well just take a chance and say, you know what, just in case Villanueva, he would get a sub, something like that. But plus 260, now we're talking. I do think Prachnio, I don't know how great he really is, how good his chin is, or if he really got dropped a couple times and just didn't get finished by someone with the lowest fight IQ. So, like, Ike Villanueva, 14 knockouts, 3 decision wins. So, like, watch him get his first career sub in this fight or something stupid. So, like, just give up the 15 points. Do it plus 260 instead of plus 275, like, to cover that crazy stuff. I think it's
time for Ike Villanueva to go the distance.
Ooh.
That's what I think.
So, are you just going to play money line?
I think this is a stupid, sloppy fight. I like the fight to maybe listen. Could either one of these idiots hit the deck? For sure. Absolutely. We've seen Marcin hit the deck. It was 3 straight fights before last fight when he went to the decision with Khalil Roundtree. I think this is another one that goes the distance. I don't know why. I'm just getting that feel. Plus 124 to go the distance. I mean, I guess I know why I have that feel because, I mean, because Ike's not really going to put it on. He's at least he's shown in the UFC that he's not an early finisher with his finishing ability. If anything, he just kind of gets finished early with that Jordan Wright fight that was crazy. And then the Chase Sherman fight, he kind of gasses out. But, his last fight against Vincus Moreira, he looked, fairly decent. And Prachnio looked terrible against Roundtree, but was able to hang in there. And Roundtree, again, has one of the lowest fight IQs I've ever seen. And he was able to escape with a victory and was able to keep his UFC career intact. If it's not a first-round finish, and by first-round finish, I mean like in the first 2-3 minutes, I do think that this fight goes the distance. So, I don't know. I see Ike Villanueva by decision at plus 600, and that's crazy to me. So
even better, I mean, the fight to go the distance is plus 140 on DraftKings. So actually, if you wanted a little more value, you could go there. I mean, that's not the worst idea. To be honest with you, I mean, Ike Villanueva by KO would be the narrative, right? We try to fade the narrative. I think you talked me off the narrative.
Yeah. Either fighter by finish would be the narrative, no? Wasn't Prachnio supposed to be a finisher before he walked into the UFC and became the guy who gets finished?
That's true. Yeah, but you know what? Either stay away or look at one of those props. Taking a side here, probably not going to be the best idea.
Yeah, couple tough fights to really handicap to start this card, but really this is again, no disrespect to the card, but these 3-4 fights here are probably about as low level or so as hard to glean from past fights as possible. Right?
You know what? I see what you're saying. The fight is could go the distance, but I do like the under 2.5 rounds. That's the total rounds on DraftKings, or the fight doesn't go the distance. I mean, the fight doesn't go the distance is minus 190. I don't think this fight. Maybe early third round. It's done in my opinion. You know what? Marcin Prachnio, when he fought Khalil Roundtree, he needed that win. His job was on the line, and he fought a little different. He was very patient. He wasn't just rushing in. He was a little more patient, taking his time.
I feel like that's rocked at the end of that second round. It should have been finished.
I know, but you know what? If I were to bet, I'd take the under 2.5, but I'm probably not going to take it. I really want to win.
Is there something jumping out at you, or
I like the under 2.5 rounds.
Fair enough.
That's it. I mean, I like Villanueva. When he won his last fight, he was like, "Oh, I'm just a guy from Houston. I think somewhere in Texas or something like that. I'm a hard worker. He had his family there. You're like, oh, I like this.
He's a good dude.
And then
seems like it anyway.
So I hope Villanueva wins. But I'm probably not going to bet this fight, man.
Good call.
Now on to another fight that's really difficult to bet, honestly. Right?
Yeah.
Warley Alves and the debuting Jeremiah Wells.
Yeah, I don't know where to go with this one, man. I mean, Warley Alves, I faded the shit out of him last time with Munir Lazzez.
With the Shark.
And now Warley Alves is minus 240 against Jeremiah Wells plus 198. Someone that's probably been knocking on the door for a while, but I mean, he hasn't fought since 2019 now?
Shark, did you have something to add about Lazzez?
Nah, man, that fight disappointed me, bro. I was disappointed. But Warley Alves, he looked prepared. He looked strong. He looked focused. After the fight, he called out Nate Diaz. I mean, I think he's one of those guys with a lot of talent. It's just kind of like, are you working hard? Are you focused? Because what's that saying? Hard work will beat talent when talent doesn't work hard. And I just think Warley Alves he's fought really high competition. He's been around the block, and he's younger than Jeremiah Wells. I don't think Jeremiah Wells ever faced competition this high. I like Warley Alves here. I'm gonna put him in a parlay.
Yeah, I haven't scouted much of Jeremiah Wells, unfortunately, but the paper scouting I was able to see, he's on the CFFC circuit, which is a premier regional circuit, not fighting necessarily tomato cans. And it seemed like each time that he could have broken through, needed the signature win, he would have a loss or, then he had a draw. Then he rattled off 3 wins. And again, maybe looking to get a 4th win and get in, and he takes a loss, gets 2 finishes in a row, gets 3 canceled fights, was supposed to fight Miguel Baeza, interestingly enough. And Baeza was not cleared to fight. And now he gets Warley Alves. And you probably have to think that he's been preparing for his UFC debut. But Warley Alves is a crafty veteran, a difficult guy to kind of figure out, a guy that beat Colby Covington back in the day. And maybe you're right. Maybe Warley Alves is one of those plays you just kind of take because he should win. I mean, you could have felt that way about Matt Frivola a couple of weeks ago, right? That McKinney, but we liked McKinney. McKinney was a beast.
Yeah, so. I took McKinney. Listen, man, I just get sketched out by this line myself, and that doesn't mean I want to play Wells per se. I do think Alves wins. I just like really get sketched out when the line overcorrects itself, like the Marcin Prachnio fight. Like you go from being a +2 something to being a -2 something, back to back fights. Like, it's tough for me to trust Alves specifically, but what you guys said definitely makes sense, and he definitely should have the advantages and win this fight. I just think I'm personally, it's a more high variable because we're not 100% sure what Wells looks like against this level of competition. So I'll take a step back, learn a little bit, see if Wells has anything going forward. And if Alves wins here, I'll be celebrating for you guys cashing a ticket.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna put him in as part of a parlay. Let's do it.
All right. So that's your first leg, right?
Yeah. I was thinking about throwing Charles Rosa in there too, but I'm not gonna do that. That's insane. I don't want to. I mean, listen, you guys could throw Charles Rosa in there if you want. It's like the same philosophy. I'm going on a specific philosophy for this parlay, so you can include Rosa in there. I don't feel as confident about it, but to start the parlay, Warley Alves.
Okay. Let's get right along then. In our next fight, we have Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Michel Preseris, and this is definitely one of those matchups where I might normally look to, fade, the young guy coming up 13-0, undefeated. You got Preseris, the veteran, 26-3. This guy, he's been around the block. Maybe it's going to be a vet lesson. He's got 3 submissions, 7 decisions, but like what? What is it?
Who was that guy? The Mountain Man. That one. After he was suspended and off for 3 or 4 years. What's his name?
Oh, Georges Dano.
Yes, that's what this reminds me of. Because he was suspended for 2 years and he's a little bit older and nobody's expecting him to win. And here he comes.
Nah, definitely, dude. Like, listen, Rakhmonov, like, the thing that really makes me pause about wanting to play Preseris, because, like, believe me, I mean, it is tempting. You see Preseris +235 and Rakhmonov at -305. That line's going to keep getting wider. I don't see why not.
Like, terrible. And then his win against Fabinski was like, he looked roided out to me. I don't know how he didn't pop there, but he looked roided out to me. And Fabinski lunges in and he just clips Fabinski and Fabinski goes flying. I mean, it was a little ridiculous, but we know that Fabinski cannot strike at all. So,
yeah,
not
I agree.
Surprising.
And listen, when these guys face up, they match up. It's going to be 6'1" versus 5'6". Shavkat Rakhmonov is going to be huge. He's got a 77-inch reach. Preseris has a 69.5-inch reach. So, I mean, this guy, he's got 7 inches of height, 7 inches of reach. I mean, Rakhmonov should win this fight. I just don't trust
Shark,
the line.
something to add?
Yeah, all right. The only way I see Rakhmonov losing is him gassing out later in the rounds. Like the third round, he's gassed. He's a big guy. So he maybe he doesn't have a gas tank like Preseris.
Gone very far.
And Rakhmonov, he hasn't really. I'm looking at his record.
Wait a second,
man. A third round.
You make a good point, Char. Hold
That's
on.
really about it.
Rakhmonov career wins, 7 knockouts, 6 submissions, 0 decisions. How has Preseris lost all of his fights? 3 decisions.
Wow. Maybe we have to play Preseris.
Another thing, I've seen a lot of these prospects. More prospects, in my opinion, are losing than winning. Like Miguel Baeza, everyone, he's this, he's that. He loses. I mean, that's just the first guy that popped in my head. Now this guy is 39 years old. He hasn't fought in a few years, but I hear he's like a gym rat. He's one of those guys that lives in the gym.
I think it's his own gym.
He's on his couch eating potato chips, and then he's like, you know what? Let me start getting in shape, and let me get in shape and get back into it. So he's a gym rat. This guy's gonna come fit. He's gonna come ready, but it's just like this. Does Shavkat rise to the occasion? That's what we're like banking on. Yeah, he's big. Yeah, he's strong. I think he does. I think he does. I think he lives up to his hype. You know, a lot of guys I feel like haven't recently, but I think this fight goes the distance, man. That's what I see. I think this guy's gonna come in tough as nails. You know,
Fight to go the distance
mean,
plus 115.
his losses were all decisions. Unless he's old, you know, his back's been hurting him. He just doesn't move the same like a Tony Ferguson unless he comes in like that. But you know what? I don't know. You got to see weigh-ins. You know, you can't make final bets, in my opinion, until after weigh-ins. But I never usually do. The only time I really remember making a real confident pick before weigh-ins was actually months back. I bet Shavkat Rakhmonov
over Alex Oliveira.
He was like plus one, like 20, 130, and then he became a favorite, like, you know, the day of the fight, you know, and I was like, oh, I know this guy's gonna win. But I think I don't know. I don't know much about Michael Preseris or Michel Preseris. I gotta really, you know, watch more of his fights. I mean, I don't know. I think Shakhmanov lives up to the hype.
One of those
that's my.
But I think we could. I think we've taken this one about as far as we can go.
Yeah, definitely. So let's keep flying right along. We get into actually another. This
really
one I could
fight.
see. Yeah, I mean, given Kennedy and Zhezhiku's last fight, Danilo Marquez, he could come in here looking for some takedowns, and I think one way or another, Shark, we're going to see someone getting lit up.
Kennedy's a really good fighter, bro. I would take Danilo Marquez, you know, but I might not even bet this fight. But if I
thought it was super interesting
I would take
tracking the line movement this week, because Marquez opened a pretty solid favorite at like minus 120 or something like that, and then he slides down to plus 102, and now in Zhezhiku at minus 125. I understand, like, we saw some pretty good developments as far as defensively and the stand-up. You know, Nzechukwu has a really good chin. He has only one loss in the UFC to Paul Craig. Definitely impressive stuff. But Marquez, he's shown to be a bit of a relentless grappler. It does worry me that his nose gets busted up in, like, every single fight. So, like,
yeah.
And Nzechukwu could piece him up from distance. He's got a 6-inch reach advantage. And if he could stuff the takedowns, which he's shown to be able to do in the past, maybe not at the highest level outside of the Paul Craig fight, who isn't the best wrestler, but I do think he has the skills, and he's been training out of Fortis, and he's got the length, and he's so difficult. Like, tall guys like that are a little bit more difficult, but Marquez matches up in the height. It's just going to be the reach where he gives it up. So I'm curious, you know, you look in at like the prop market here, and I mean, if I was going to play anything, I think that, you know, this could end inside the distance, you know, very possible. But if you're going to take, like, you know, a specific play, I mean, Marquez by submission plus 260 on DraftKings, that seems like if that was going to be the method, that's it.
Play, dude.
Yeah,
I
just
like
the fight to
distance play.
What for Marquez, you're saying?
What about for the fight?
I mean, not to go the distance is minus 190. So, I mean, that's not too interesting to me. I don't feel great about Assad. I want to see them, like, face off and just get an idea, like, is Marquez going to be much thicker than Nzechukwu? Is he going to be able to overwhelm him when he goes for the double leg? And yeah, I know he's going to go for the takedowns, but will he get him?
I see an interesting prop on FanDuel, fight to start round 3. Pretty much kind of pick them. Yes, minus 126. No, minus 102. I kind of lean towards that no at minus 102. So that's pretty much an under-over of 2 rounds. So, but it's very possible it's a slot fest where nobody gets to finish at all. Like, it becomes more of a sparring, grappling match. So I don't know. It's lower level stuff. Tough to play. Shark, do you see anything?
You know, I don't know. Kennedy
yeah,
won his last fight because Carlos Ulberg gassed out. That's it. You know, I don't know why everyone's putting this high stock into him. And to be honest, I never really seen him fight much, but that was the only time I saw him fight is when his last fight when he beat Ulberg. But I don't know. I don't even know if I'm going to bet this fight. If I had to bet right now, I would take Danilo Marquez. I think he could pull him down. He doesn't look like he's got good balance. He doesn't look like he's got this crazy takedown defense. That's my opinion. I think I would yes, but
I think we're ready for the main card.
That's all about that one.
Yeah, let's get down to moving right along to our next fight. We have Henato Moycano versus Jai Herbert to kick off the main card. This should be an exciting matchup. I don't think we have a great chin on either side of the matchup. And, we could be in for a quick finish, whether it's Moycano getting a takedown and able to get in a finish. He hasn't had a knockout in his career, but Herbert's chin, his hands are down. He keeps his head out there. Is it going to be available for a highlight here? I mean, listen, we talk about levels. Could it be one of those types of fights? I mean, you look at the names that Moicano's lost to. Is Jai Herbert really going to join the ranks of those? And I know Moicano minus 250 feels disgusting and dirty, but like it screams to me that maybe I should just pass. But like I seriously do feel strongly that Moicano is going to win. But I don't know that my heart could take placing physical money on Moicano. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't know.
I'm actually going to put Moicano in that parlay. So I'm going to throw Moicano in there. What I saw from Jai Herbert, he is just not very good, man. That loss to Trinaldo was pretty poor. I don't. He's taken a lot of time off. He's taken nearly a year off since that loss. I don't know, actually. That's really tough. He's actually not even 33. No.
I mean, he got knocked out by Reese McKee, and on his regional tape before he fought Trinaldo, I just thought, the reach advantage and everything, and he did have his really good moments knocking Trinaldo down a bunch, but like he just leaves his hands down. He doesn't have great foot movement, and like his head is generally presents itself and is available. Yeah. Like Moicano for a knockout, like is that even like
and that was clearly the best of what Trinaldo has to offer now, right? Because Trinaldo's looked terrible since that awesome knockout.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Moicano has fallen in love with being a striker at this point. It's kind of weird. And like Herbert, he's definitely going to be available. He's definitely going to be there to get hit. Plus 550 for Moicano, who, granted, has never gotten a knockout in his career. But it's not that he's not trying to throw his hands. And losing to Fiziev, Korean Zombie, Jose Aldo, Brian Ortega, I just don't think that Jai Herbert is like that type of guy. So I do think Moicano can pull this off here.
So barring some good weight cuts, I'm going to put Moicano in that parlay. So you got Warley Alves and Moicano.
I agree with you. You know what? All I needed to see Jai Herbert losing to Reese McKee. I mean, Moicano's been in there with the best of the best in the world. Fiziev, one of the best probably in the world at what he does,
and Brian Ortega.
In there with Zombie,
those are his 4 losses.
Aldo. I mean, he beat. I don't think Jai Herbert's at this level. Like, if you're Moicano, what else do you want? Like, what else do you want? This is perfect for him. But again, his chin.
Guys with real power.
I mean, when he's got knocked out, it was against
Zombie and Aldo.
Fiziev, who else?
Knocked him the fuck out.
Oh, yeah.
But did Zombie knock
Oh
him
my god,
out?
bro! It was
I
brutal. The crowd was going crazy.
Overhand
It was
right
awesome.
to ground and was it? So this sounds crazy and stupid. I took Moicano when he fought Fiziev, and my boy was like, "Dude, don't do it. Fiziev is real deal." I'm like, "Nah, Fiziev.
I believe we
He
had a
could be
Georgian
hyped.
parlay
What has he
that day,
done?
right?
You know."
TB.
But I was wrong.
Yeah, I definitely
What's that?
hit it pretty nicely there.
I
remember
we parlayed. We
Fiziev.
parlayed Fiziev and Merab.
I don't remember exactly. I mean, not important to be honest, because realistically, we're not talking about a striker on the level of Fiziev, and Moicano landed a few nice shots on Fiziev himself before getting finished. And yeah, like I said, I could see that knockout possibly being there plus 550, if not parlay out Moicano. And I'm sure there's plenty of value on the sub, but like I'm not rushing to play that given that it's gonna be a much lower price. And it sounds like we're all in agreement here. So why not get moving right along to a fight where, Tim Means versus, I think, a mortal enemy of all three of us, Nicholas Dalby, or at least the judges who scored the Daniel Rodriguez versus Nicholas Dalby fight. I mean, how many dollars went down the drain between the three of us when Daniel Rodriguez gets announced, as the loser to Nicholas Dalby? I did think that it was an awkward fight, but like, I didn't see how Dalby won that.
There was no way Dalby won that, and that pissed me off so much. Another one of those Bobby Green type losses that just sticks in your gullet and never leaves. It was awful. Shark, how did you feel?
I felt the same way, man. I was surprised. I really thought D-Rod won. But the judges, so a lot of times they're corrupt too, man. But I don't know if that was corruption. What I think was D-Rod was just playing the counter game. And Dalby kept moving forward and moving forward and moving forward. So, some people see it that way, you know. Tim Means has hands, bro. He has hands. But for some reason, I think Dalby's gonna be
He
tough
doesn't
to
need
finish.
to finish.
I don't think Tim Means is
His last two wins are by
Dalby.
decision. He's a good point fighter, at least from what I've seen from Means. He outpointed Perry and Star Polar.
But for some reason, I feel like Dalby wins a decision. I don't know why. I just have a feeling he does. I think Tim Means is a better fighter. He's got better hands. What is Dalby? He's what's his style? Karate? Yeah. I don't know, man. This is a fight to call.
It's funny to me.
I don't feel confident in either.
This is actually one of more confident ideas on this card. I do think I like Tim Means here. As far as like what Shark said about Rodriguez working more on the counters and working backwards, I do think Tim Means is more on the front foot. I don't think he'll allow Dalby to set up his kicking game, which I think dictated the pace and the distance in the Rodriguez fight. Dalby has definitely been hurt recently, even if not finished, but Means doesn't necessarily have like crazy power. It's like more the accumulation. So could there be a late finish? I certainly think it's possible, but I think it's safer, in my book at least, to take Tim Means and maybe we'll look to parlay him out. Minus 137. That's really not that bad. I mean, I could even play that straight.
I like Tim Means by decision plus 180. I don't think
that Dalby.
I don't think Dalby gets finished. And I don't
Dalby's
think
never been finished.
Dalby's
a tough.
I think he'll be strong enough to dictate the pace. I think he'll use his length to keep Dalby frustrated. I don't think Dalby will be able to get inside and use wrestling or anything. Like, yeah, I think Tim Means should be able to cruise to another decision victory. I mean, unless I'm missing something with Dalby, but I'm definitely looking to fade him.
What do you think of their build? I feel like Dalby's a stronger.
He is.
Thicker,
he's more of a compact
stronger
guy as opposed to Tim Means, who's a little bit more wiry.
Yeah, I mean, Dalby only given up 1 inch of reach, but he's given up 3 inches of height. Tim Means definitely knows how to use his reach, effective with the jab from distance. I do think you're right, though. If there was a way for Dalby to get it done, I mean, we're talking about his wrestling, but at like 1.45 takedowns per 15 and 33% accuracy, Tim Means 64% defense, and he actually averages 1 takedown himself. I trust Tim Means more. He's got 2 more strikes per minute at 11% more accurate, and his defense is 5% better. Give me Tim Means.
I like Tim Means here too by decision. He should be able to get it done, barring the freak variance that we always talk about in MMA.
I think this
what
fight
is the
goes
line
the
on that?
distance over 2.5
Oh, it's
rounds. I
chalk.
don't even know what the lines
Minus
are.
160 to go the distance.
But
Minus 165.
I saw that Tim Means lost to D-Rod.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to play straight up
guillotine,
MMA
right?
math, the last person to beat Tim Means was
Did you
Daniel
see that?
Rodriguez, who Dalby just quote unquote beat.
So a lot of people are like, "Oh, you can't do MMA math." You know what? Sometimes it works. Sometimes it works.
I definitely agree. There's
doesn't
times
work.
to use it, especially when you're looking at like stylistic matchups. I think that's the most important time to use MMA math because at least it's like consistent across like stylistic matchups. But if you're just saying like X guy beat X guy and they're ranked here and he's ranked here, like that could be a little bit blind and dumb. But I definitely agree that sometimes it is very helpful. But sounds like we all agree this fight, more than likely goes the distance, and there could be a late finish, but no, I definitely lean towards the decision here. Let's get to the next fight. Talk about one that's primed for a finish. I mean, Andre Fili versus Daniel Pineda. This fight, no matter what happens, I mean, we're in for a fucking show here. Andre
Definitely
Fili,
a fight of the night contender here for sure. Although I don't necessarily. I mean, I guess maybe with Pineda, can't really depend on him, but Fili's not much of a finisher. And he's so tough, he doesn't get finished. Like if Sadiq Youssef couldn't finish Andre Fili, he's not getting finished.
So my thought really is that Andre Fili has been knocked out twice in his career. One time was a round 2 knockout against Yair Rodriguez, which is totally, you can forgive him for that. But yeah, I mean, Max Holloway, a submission. Godfredo Pepe, a submission.
Pepe!
So is it possible Pineda, who has 9 knockouts and 18 submissions and 0 decisions, could he get an early finish? Yeah, it's possible. I don't want to completely rule it out, but like if you want to talk about a parlayable piece, I mean, Andre Fili, he's just faced much higher level of competition. He's never been suspended by USADA. He's never had wins overturned to no contest due to drug suspensions. Andre Fili, 9 knockouts, 3 submissions, 9 decisions. I know that in the UFC, he has 6 decisions and 3 knockouts. So, he is going the distance more often than not. But Daniel Pineda, he has 3 knockout losses, 6 submission losses, and 5 decision losses. And he lost his last fight by knockout in round 2 to Cub Swanson, just completely gassing out and getting boxed up on the feet. I mean, Fili's got some hands, and I don't think Pineda is going to be able to wrestle him so easily.
Man, I lost a ton of money on Daniel Pineda, but that right cross from Cub Swanson was one of the most beautiful bombs. I was so happy to see Cub win. I mean, I kind of wasn't because I lost a lot of money, but I realized right away because it was just another one of those dumb things. Why did I have so much money on Pineda to begin with? Like that was stupid. So I felt like I learned my lesson in terms of that, but yeah, I think Fili should be able to get it done. This is a huge fight for him. He needs a win here. Every time he takes him step up in competition, he loses. Bryce Mitchell, Sadiq Youssef, Michael Johnson in 2018, Calvin Kattar in 2017, Yair Rodriguez in 2016. Every single time he takes a step up in competition, he loses. Daniel Pineda is not a step up in competition. This is classic Andre Fili winning territory. Andre Fili will round out that parlay, which would be Warley Alves, Henato Moycano, and Andre Fili at plus 196. I do like that. On this fight, I don't know. I don't know why I like Andre Fili by decision at plus 165. There's not really any money there. I kind of like my parlay better. Andre Fili by KO plus 240. Andre Fili by submission plus 1100. I mean, that's kind of crazy, right? He's more of a wrestler. Doesn't really submit anybody. Yeah.
Shark, are you feeling the same?
Yeah, you know what? We lost a lot of money on Pineda his last fight because we got sucked into the hype.
Well, the hype that
That's why
Cub was washed.
we got sucked into all this hype. Oh, this guy. Exactly, and then Pineda's previous performance, that kind of tricked us. Yeah, I don't know. I don't trust Pineda. I just think he's like I don't think he's hungry for it. That's what I get from him. I don't think he's hungry. I think Andre Fili wants this bad. He needs this. I see Pineda around a lot coaching.
His
Does anyone
coaching?
know anything about that?
That
he's.
I think he's with the 4 Ounce Fight Club.
A lot of other fights
with I believe that's Derek Lewis, like his crew.
All right. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't see Pineda hungry wanting this like Andre Fili. I think Andre Fili wins this. You know what? I can't even say
tough,
he wins
man.
a decision,
and I agree with you.
I don't see Pineda.
You look
going
at the
distance.
matchup here as far as size go. Fili 5'11", Pineda 5'7", and that same 4 inches of height translates over to reach. And then Pineda is 35, Fili 30. It all points in Fili's direction.
Yeah, if you look at Pineda's fights, he has not. He was in the. He got into the third round in 2016 in a Bellator. Yeah. Both of these guys have been around. Both of them have a lot of. They've been around, both of them, but I just think Fili wants it more, man. Yeah, Pineda. I think he's gonna go in there first, second. If he doesn't finish this by the second round, he's just gonna gas out, and Fili's gonna take over. That's that sub prop you liked, plus 1100. Who knows? Maybe he gasses out and Fili goes down and chokes him out. But Zombie last week against Ige, Zombie to win by sub was plus 1100. I put a little bit on that, hoping that was gonna come in. And you know what? I found out before I put that bet in that that Zombie all camp, all he was doing was training jiu-jitsu. So that's why I put that bet in. He tried a sub. He even said it in an interview after. So it's just funny that line is also plus 1100. So that makes me think it's not going to come in because that Zombie line plus 1100.
Yeah, I totally understand.
That's the way I think.
I also kind of want to throw a second parlay in there because I really do like Andre Fili. I don't know. I think you can even just play Fili and Alves. Obviously, I had mentioned.
I think weigh-ins are going to be important for this fight. What kind of Pineda are you going to get? I don't see him. I don't see him as a guy that really wants this, or I don't see him training hard. Do either of you guys follow him on Instagram? Have you been following his camp or anything like that?
Daniel Pineda. Why is it taking too far to load?
Well, while you're looking at Pineda, I am looking at Fili.
He just had a baby.
I see him looking good.
He has last time he posted on Instagram was December 30th. So December 31st of this year. So he doesn't use Instagram.
Yeah, that's a sign for me as well. Like, why aren't you proud of what you're doing? You're active. You know, I don't trust him. I don't trust him at all. I like Feely here. I would put him in that
Sick.
parlay.
Yeah,
I like that parlay
we're
a
all
lot,
over Feely,
actually.
it sounds like. Let's get to the fight that got moved from the prelims all the way up to, the third top fight of the night here. Hyony Barcelos versus Timur Valliev.
And it deserves to be where it is.
Yeah, definitely.
This is a fight of the night if I've seen one.
Listen, I love Hyony Barcelos. I think he is one of the most talented fighters out there. But I am slightly confused given what Timur Valliev was lined at in his first couple of fights, like minus 300, minus 400, minus 500 type of lines. And then he comes in against Barcelos and it's plus 180. And Barcelos, I mean, he's great. He fights Khalid Taha and he's minus 300, minus 400. And Barcelos, he puts on a clinic and then, gasses a little bit towards the end. Let's, Taha make it a little bit closer late, but Barcelos probably should have gotten the finish at some point there. That was a little bit concerning in the fact that I don't know that Barcelos has like the same type of stopping power, especially with not as much of a reach advantage. I mean, these guys match up as well as it gets. Valliev and Barcelos, plus 180 for Valliev, Barcelos minus 230. I think the line could be too wide. Not that Barcelos might not win, but I've always been partial to Valliev's skills. What are you thinking?
Right away, I like Barcelos. I always loved him since I first found out about him. You're right. He is one of the most skilled. His hands are good. He can wrestle. His BJJ is great. I mean, he's like the perfect fighter. This guy, he's quick. I mean, you name it, man. His cardio's there. He's perfect. Only thing, he's getting up in age. And I'm surprised that the UFC are matching these two guys together. I was surprised when I saw this. I felt like Barcelos deserved someone maybe in the top 15.
17 according to Tapology.
I don't know. What is he ranked? Yeah, that's. So I'm a little surprised about this matchup that they're putting him against Timur Valliev. I know Timur, he trains in Jersey, right? He's with Mark Henry at Nick Catone. He trains over there, So sometimes I don't like going against those guys. Being I'm from Jersey too. Well, we're all from New Jersey, and I know some of those guys too. And I don't want to go. I don't like going against them, but but I got kids to feed. No, I'm kidding. But I don't know, man. I don't know how anyone can beat Barcelos. I don't see it. I like him. I like him to win here. And I know
Kevin Jones.
He got knocked out before, right? Yeah. His last fight, he looked good, but I don't know. I think Barcelos finds holes and he stops everything Valliev does. That's my opinion. I think Barcelos is a fucking prodigy, bro.
All right,
I do think he's one of those guys put him in that should parlay. Be able to get it done. I do really like Barcelos here, at least in terms of a pick, because I do think he gets it done. Martin Day is terrible, and he gassed versus Trevin Jones. So it's certainly a tough fight. It's not one that I want to play Barcelos at chalk. You know what? But I certainly want to pick him.
Listen, if Timur Valliev's name was like Bob Jones, right? I feel like his name throws me off too. Like, ooh, this is like a sick, like a Russian guy. I don't want to bet against him, So that kind of like scares me too. Don't let that
just
scare
from
you.
What I've seen on the tape, honestly, and from what I see on the tape, he can gas out, and his chin was suspect in that fight. I mean, he got clipped with a beautiful shot. But what I saw from Ronnie Barcelos is that it's going to be time to fade Barcelos at some point soon. He's been a huge favorite in most of his fights. I think all of his fights in the UFC. and he was pretty hittable versus Taha. He was like a minus 300 versus Taha. I came out of that fight. Obviously, it was a fantastic fight, one I'd loved rewatching. But I actually came away with like a little bit of a respect for Taha, that he's actually like not as trash. Like I'm interested to see who he'd be matched up against, because I almost would be looking to play him, because I thought he fought decently against a savage in Barcelos. The body lock takedown in that first round Barcelos landed on with Taha. I mean, I just think that he's going to take advantage of Timur here. I think it's going to, be close in the striking, and I think that Barcelos will push the pace in the grappling, and we've seen when you push the pace against Timur, or actually Timur pushed the pace in gas, but I guess it's the same idea. The pace gets pushed, and Timur can't sustain. So weigh-ins, definitely interested to see it, especially at 34 and 31 years old. I think it could be one of those chalk fights that ends up Barcelos could just kind of get it done. I am looking for the spot to fade Barcelos. I just don't think that this is it. And I do think that after he wins this fight, it will be time for a top 15. Honestly, I could straight up say if Valliev wins this fight too, he'll probably it's very possible he gets a top 15 shot as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that sentiment. What I think is that if you are going to bet Valliev, which like I'm considering, I think you really have to be realistic with yourself, because like I don't see Valliev really getting a finish here. I think the way it happens is stuffing takedowns and point fighting from the outside. I do like Valiev's striking. I do like his distance management. I like his kicks. I like his arsenal. The things that worry me are Valliev getting finished himself, or Barcelos just putting on a great performance. I mean, he is incredible. There's nothing against that, and I don't want to like proclaim that like Valliev is like clearly the better fighter. I just think that it's interesting to see two guys that have both recently been like minus 400, and you put them against each other and it's spread to like minus 230 for Barcelos. That's fair. He could definitely come out here and make me look stupid. I might put something small in the Valliev by decision at like plus 340, because that's the only way Valliev wins to me. So that's not actually plus 325. It's not an official play yet. I want to see how they look facing off, make sure the guys have good cuts on a fight that's going to, like, in my mind, should be a little bit closer. And on a fight, I'm not convinced he wins, so it's like I want to look more towards a prop.
Yeah, I was going to say that, I mean, the Vegas thinks that this fight goes the distance at minus 190. So I think whichever way you like your fighter, bet them to go the distance. Shark?
I think this line should be closer. You're right. I think the line should be a little closer. I think it is a little. It's not that bad. Plus 180. I would say maybe 140 to like 177, something like that, or 190 to 145. I think the line is a little spread out. I'm really thinking now who Barcelos did beat. Yeah, he looked great, but who was it against?
Yeah.
Maybe I am hyping him up too much, but I like that Valliev by decision prop. I feel like that is a good one, plus 300, whatever it was, for sure. Especially with the judges, man. Like Barcelos isn't getting any love. What if it does go to a somewhat of a close decision? Maybe Valliev gets it. And he was beating 100%. I can't remember the fight too well. He was beating Trevin Jones before he got knocked out, correct? Yeah, he was beating his ass before he got knocked out. It was like the second round he came in.
It was interesting though, because like
got hurt.
I don't think it was the traditional type of gas out. Like he had this guy up on the fence, nearly finished to the body, to the head, and then Jones gets one of those last second takedowns, desperation, end of the first round. Ride it out. Then he comes back and it's like, you know what? I mean, he was playing with his food, Valliev. He had a finish in his hands. He played with his food and got caught with a check hook with a guy who had a 3-inch reach advantage. They have the same reach in this fight. It doesn't land as powerful when the guy's not longer than you. I think Valiev's chin will be a little bit safer here. It was definitely, concerning to see that he has that off button readily available, but I think slightly different. Listen, Trevin Jones was on the weed that fight, so he had some extra powers. Okay, that's why he got the
they had to
knockout.
declare it a no contest because that was a performance-enhancing drug. Can't be smoking the weed and knocking people out. Oh yeah,
You know, Trevin Jones is on a win streak too.
two big fights.
I mean, 2 fights, but he's doing his thing.
Both of them.
Yeah,
he was an underdog, right, against Bautista.
Yep.
Everyone took Bautista that fight. I remember everyone. Crazy. But this is going to be a good fight. This is going to be a really, really good fight. And I think this fight, we'll see what, Barcelos is really made of. Because, like, I'm really big on this guy. And I was big on a lot of people. Like, I remember there was a boxer. You guys heard of Keith Thurman, right? You know who Keith Thurman is.
I mean, like Lomachenko and Thurman? Alvarez and Triple G, but, like, that's about it.
Oh, really? So Keith Thurman was knocking people out, beating the shit out of people, and in fights, knocking everyone out. He was like 26-0. I'm like, whoa. He called out Mayweather one fight. Anyway, he looked amazing against these guys. I was like, Keith Thurman's going to be a world champion, no doubt. And then once he got to the higher levels, man, the show was a little different. Changes. So we'll see what Barcelos is really made of. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't. We shouldn't trust him so much like we trust. Yeah. Like everyone was all big on Dan Ige, right? Oh, this guy, he's on his win streak knocking people out. But who was it against? Once he got tested,
that's the question.
He got to the big leagues.
Yeah, I mean, and listen, but his Valliev, the big leagues, exact odds as Andre Fili, and I put Andre Fili in the parlay and not Barcelos, and this is why.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. You can't put everyone in the parlay.
Oh yeah. Once
you hit four people, they're hard to hit.
Let alone 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, let's get on to our co-main event. One that was put together last second, short notice. Tanner Boser hanging out in quarantine.
Pissed off Canadian. We have a very pissed off Canadian.
I mean, listen, his OSP plus 150 against Tanner Boser minus 178 coming in on short notice. I mean, wow. This is super interesting to me because, listen, Tanner Boser, I mean, listening to James Lynch. Yeah, and Tanner Boser, I mean, he's been stuck in quarantine ever since his fight. He gets to the hotel, he's stuck there, he can't leave, he's not training, he's doing push-ups, he's got, a couple dumbbells, but like, he's basically just like pissed off, stewing in his loss to Latifi, where like, honestly, I mean, that fight could have been finished in the second round off of that like knuckle punch to the eye. Yeah, I mean, like he landed like that little like, knuckle to the eye.
Him in the eye. Nothing illegal about getting punched in the eye. He punched him in the eye.
And so you see Latifi like turn away, fall over, and I'm like, how did Herb not call this? And like Herb's like standing there like, like
the follow-up shots unfortunately didn't connect. Unfortunately for Boser, all of his follow-up ground and pound shots didn't connect at all because of Latifi's giant fucking arms covering his face. But it was really weird watching it in kind of, I wouldn't say real time, but kind of watching it over and like really hyper analyzing it, because it was like the way Latifi buckled over, you would have thought that maybe he could have got the stoppage there. But again, like I said, I think he covered up well and then respond. And then again, you saw 30 seconds later, Latifi was on top. So it was really poor grappling from Boser, but we knew that was the problem for him going in. I picked Latifi last week or last month, but didn't bet him because I wasn't confident. And obviously as that fight went, I'm kind of glad. I would have been sweating the whole time. But I don't think OSP wins this fight because he's really shit at heavyweight. Like, and this is a heavyweight fight. We saw him at heavyweight versus Ben Rothwell. I guess that fight was kind of closer than it should have been too. That was a weird fight.
Yeah, okay. My argument to that is that I did see OSP saying that like he came in at 240 last time and felt way too heavy. He was preparing for a while for a heavyweight fight that time, it seemed. This time it's on a week notice. He's been preparing for light heavyweight to make a cut. Now he's saying he wants to come in around like 230 so that he can move a little bit better. My question is, though, like, he's not going to move better than Tanner Boser, the guy who's 9 years younger. However, Boser's given up a little bit of reach here. So if OSP is able to get him in the clinch, it's game over to me. Because, like, he's not Ilir Latifi that, like, just sits on people. It's about, like, finding that Von Flu or that Von Prue choke at this point.
But OSP can't really wrestle.
That's right. So I don't see him having the same success that Latifi did.
Boser's just going to stick and move. Boser will use his speed and his leg work. I mean, his footwork is pretty decent. He likes to circle. He likes to frustrate people. He likes to use leg kicks.
Yeah, but you know what I get reminded of is Andrei Arlovsky. And it's like, I'm not ready to lay chalk on Tanner Boser when a couple times now when he's faced a guy that's bigger with bigger power, he's been a little more tentative to throw his hands and he'll throw kicks instead. And it's just not landing the same type of way. And, it makes me worried. Like, does OSP come away with like a really sketchy decision? Like this fight, as compared to the main event, man, I don't feel so great about this one. So, begrudgingly, I take Boser, but I'm not rushing to place a ticket on it. I want to see that hit face off.
100,000%. Couldn't agree more.
Shark, are you feeling strongly?
I don't feel strong about this fight. I like OSP. I'm a fan, but I just feel like he's not hungry, man. Especially, what I saw against Jamal Hill. I thought he could have. I thought he was going to beat Jamal Hill. I took OSP to beat Jamal Hill. I feel like, and everyone was so big on Jamal Hill. And I'm like, why? I just don't get it. And I never understood why. And then Paul Craig showed why you should not be so sold on Jamal Hill. I didn't get it. And so I do like OSP. I just felt like that fight, he just came out for a paycheck. He missed weight that fight. Him going up to heavyweight, is that the answer? I don't know, man. I think Tanner Boser's hungrier. He wants it more. I'm looking at OSP's Instagram right now, and I don't know, man. I'm just looking at him, just fishing around. I'm not sold on him. So this fight, I might just stay away from this fight. Maybe it doesn't go the distance.
That's totally fair.
I don't see OSP going the distance.
Take something from what you said there. No, you're good. So I think it was interesting how you said that, like, OSP might be there for a check, and like 100%. To add to your point, this is a guy that was preparing for a light heavyweight fight, and on a week's notice, because his opponent falls out, he's agreeing to fight not a full size heavyweight, but like fighting a completely different, like, heavyweight to light heavyweight is a huge difference. And on a week's notice, like, I think this guy needs to get in there and fight.
Like, he's right. It is about a check. Like, he sees a negligible, and I wouldn't say negligible. We wouldn't say negligible. To us, he sees some sort of negligible difference in taking this short notice fight up a weight class because he wants the check when he wants it, right? He's scheduled for a payday, so he wants it. So, yeah. And we know that he's not afraid to lose some damn fights at 25-15. So, and I don't think that he's in danger of getting cut if he loses, because he's kind of doing the UFC a favor. So, Boser, I don't even think they're going to cut if he loses, unless it's a horrible, horrible performance. I don't think so.
They just renewed Boser's contract. Yeah, they did.
I thought he said that this was the last fight on his contract.
He said it in an interview. Even though he lost,
and that's why he got the short notice fight for OSP.
It was his last fight. It was his last fight, and then after they renewed him for another 4-fight contract. But UFC can cut you anytime. Yeah, they just renewed it. It was in his interview that he did yesterday. Yeah. But I think he's hungry. He's saying I'm still in shape. I felt like that fight was a good I don't want to call it a tune-up, but it was a good session for him. OSP hasn't been in there since, Jamal Hill. He's due for a fight, and he didn't do shit that fight. He just laid down, let the guy pump. He didn't even go for a takedown. 38 years old. There comes a time when you're like, all right, I need to make money. Once you get that certain age, money is very, very important. So that's why I think he's just there he's there to get paid. And like you said, he just agreed to the heavyweight. Oh yeah, I'll take it. I don't give a well, I'll take it. That's fine. Just, I want to go in there. I want this fight to happen. I want to make my money.
He needs a paycheck.
That's it. Whoa.
I don't think he's gonna win. I like Boser. I'm picking Boser. I don't know that I want to bet my house on Boser, but I'm taking him.
This is hard because Boser has never rose to the occasion.
Yeah. Boser should be the pick here,
give
but
him
we don't
a
really
good
trust
opponent.
him too much.
He just
listen,
do it.
I think what we can all agree on is that for this main event here, boys, I think we got an agreement, and I think we got a play of the day. So why waste any more time? Man, talk about an exciting matchup. Cyril Gane versus Alexander Volkov.
Title shot eliminator.
Right? Is that not what we're looking at? Because 100%. I don't know what Bones is doing, and Derek Lewis is going to get that next shot. Does Stipe get another shot, or does Stipe fight winner of this one? Or I don't know where it plays out.
The winner of this call out Bones or for the title.
Yeah,
or even Stipe, whatever. I'd like to see some big call outs. I agree.
Stipe deserves another shot for sure. He does, but it's not a big seller. People want to see Derek Lewis. People want to see
tired of him.
Jones. No one wants
but people are tired.
No one wants to see Stipe. Yeah, but the guy
Twice
at work that watches UFC. When McGregor, they want to see John Jones. They want to see Derek Lewis. They don't want to see Stipe. It's just not a big seller. But I agree with you guys. I like Volkov, man.
Shouldn't have done it with Rosenstruck. That was the worst fight ever. But yeah, I do. I like Volkov here. He's the more veteran striker. He's a more veteran MMA fighter. He's going to be taller, longer. He's fought the higher level of competition. We're getting him at dog odds. I watch him switch stances. I watch him know when to lightly pepper his shots. I've seen him know when he needs to sit down on his shots and put more power into them. I've watched him weather through adversity in the Fabricio Verdum fight. I've seen everything I need to see out of Alexander Volkov. The one thing that he really, truly lacks, and he jokes about it in his interview this week, is the wrestling. He can't fight the elite wrestlers. Curtis Blades is going to take him down. Fabricio Verdum took him down 3 to 6 times, whatever it was in that fight. His takedown defense kind of lacks. But Cyril Gane is not a wrestler. And he's not a knockout artist. Knocking out JDS doesn't make you a knockout artist. And his submission game is good, but I don't know that he's like a wizard. He's not Ryan Hall. He's not Fabricio Verdum on the ground, who we saw could not submit Alexander Volkov. So Gane's a point fighter now? He's going to outpoint Volkov? I don't know. I don't think so. So that's why I'm willing to I guess die on this hill. I like Volkov for all the reasons I said, and I get him at dog odds. Let's roll.
Yeah, man. Let's dive right into the matchup. I mean, these guys, they size up well. Cyril Gane has been the biggest guy in the matchup in every fight he's had so far. In this fight, he's 3 inches shorter than Volkov, and sure, Gane has a 1-inch reach advantage, but that's a lot less than what he's used to. Their striking stats are very similar. I mean, Volkov has a 5% advantage against tougher competition. However, Cyril Gane's defense at 69% is what really stands out, whereas Volkov is at 56%. But Gane has not had to face a technical striker like Volkov before. I
He
think
didn't
the
have to face
biggest
any
difference.
strikes versus Rosenstruck. He threw him from the
Yeah.
parking lot.
Yeah, Volkov puts pressure. He's going to put pressure on Cyril Gane that he's never experienced before. He's going to be in his face. And I think Gane's only way to win is maybe clinching, like a dirty fight. That's the only way I
think
see
that
him
Gane
winning.
is
And you
more
said he's
like
not a
an
wrestler, right?
opportunistic grappler against people that are worse.
Yeah, like I mean, look,
So
8-0
statistics through his
against 33
few fights that he has,
8.
he averages 1.13 takedowns per 15 minutes, and he has a 26% takedown accuracy.
And that's against low-level competition, man. Like, so people that are saying, like, Gane can fall back on his wrestling in this fight, I think that's a little misguided. I mean, you look at Volkov's stats, it's like, I understand, like, you know, 66% takedown defense is not great. But when you go to look at the Curtis Blades fight, I mean, nobody is on the same type of level that Curtis Blades is as far as like committing to your wrestling. And he landed 14 out of 25 takedowns at 56%. That'll bring down your takedown defense every single fucking day of the week, man. And listen, like Cyril Gane, he's a pretty solid grappler, opportunistic in getting his takedowns as far as dealing with smaller guys and being able to get them off balance and dragging them down. But like, man, he didn't look that great doing it against Rosenstruck. And Rosenstruck, like, he's not that great at takedown defense. Overeem got him down. Yeah, so to me, Volkov, he showed a lot of improvement as the fight went on against Blades, working in the clinch from guard. He was landing the elbows from bottom that, like, I mean, he ended up winning a round, right? He ended up having Blades breathing, looking like he was about to pass out in the post-fight interview. I mean, Volkov wasn't the one looking like that by the end of the fight. He just got controlled for a shit ton of time. I mean, so realistically, we're saying that Cyril Gane is going to win a decision if he's going to win. But man, I don't necessarily think that you can feel comfortable that like Volkov, I mean, he landed 121 strikes against Derek Lewis, and he landed 135 against Struve, 122 against Roy Nelson. You know, he could come with the output. 86 against Greg Hardy most recently. You know, he knocks out Walt Harris in the second round, lands 45 strikes. He knocks out Overeem in the second round, lands 54 strikes. I mean, this guy is a volume machine. I don't think it's going to be so easy for Gane to outpoint when the biggest thing that makes me want to fade Gane is not that he's uber talented and everyone loves him. It's that he keeps his hands low. He doesn't throw his hands enough, and he's relying on kicks and movement against people that don't know how to fight in the heavyweight division. Alexander Volkov is experienced. He knows how to fight. I realistically, like, I wanted to play Fight Goes the Distance, but
it's going the distance.
Yeah, but Volkov, I mean, he's one of the only guys I've seen actually able to figure out the shell game of Alistair Overeem, the precision, being able to walk him down. I know we're talking about like retirement Overeem and all that, but he's just intelligent. So I've never seen Gane in trouble before. I've never seen what it looks like when he has to respond to adversity. I mean, he's someone that's never been knocked out, never been finished, all this stuff, and he has all this Muay Thai experience and kickboxing. And man, give me Alexander Volkov as an underdog. I'm throwing, you know, I know to Shark this doesn't sound like much, but I'm at least throwing 100 on it. That's it.
That's some good money.
I like that. You know what? This is the facts of the matter.
Heavyweight.
Middleweight division is stacked. Featherweight, no, I'm just saying. Middleweight division is stacked. Featherweight division is stacked. A lot of divisions are stacked. All right, I could keep going on. You know, there's just a lot of stacked divisions. The heavyweight division is not stacked, and Cyril Gane is not ready for this. But the UFC is just pushing him. Yeah, he's a good fighter. He's athletic. He's really good. He looks great. He could sell a fight, you know. But for him at this point, 8-0 to be headlining, yeah, he beat Rosenstruck. But I feel like Rosenstruck was just like fighting scared. You know, he was just like his last fight when he fought Sakai. You know, he he was a totally different person as far as his confidence. And, he was a totally different fighter. I just think that the heavyweight division is not stacked, and UFC is just pushing him too quick and giving him a matchup that he has no business being in. I'm looking at the rankings right now. Like, here's the, you got Alexei Olenek ranked 12, Chris Daukaus ranked 10, Augusto Sakai 8. Like, I don't know. It is Tai Tuivasa 16, Andre Arlovski 17. Like, this is not Latifi 20. If you go to like the featherweights or middleweights or welterweights even, you'll see guys ranked
You're
17,
100%
18
right.
that you're like, yo, this guy can beat a top 10 guy. Like Ilya Topuria ranked like maybe 22. You're like, Ilya Topuria, I think he could do well against the top 10 guy. Like, so my point is that the heavyweight division's not stacked like other divisions, and Sarah Gane, I think he's not ready.
Sounds
for
like
this.
Guru completely agrees. I mean, do you have any other specific prop plays on this one before we wrap it up?
I have a couple thoughts. I really like if your book offers this. I know PointsBet does. Shout out PointsBet. I really like Alexander Volkov and the over 2.5 at plus 225. That's crazy. That's big money to me. FanDuel has Volkov by points plus 550. That's absurd. I know we haven't necessarily talked about this on the pod, but we talk about it between us three about sometimes fading their odds boost. FanDuel has an odds boost that this fight ends by KO. We don't think that this fight's going to end by submission. So this fight ending by KO, while it's heavyweights, the line is set at 4.5. So they're offering a boost in the KO. Maybe the KO happens, but we don't really think that it does. So I think it's a tentative fight, and I do think it goes the distance. So I do like betting this fight to go to the distance at plus 106 if you're struggling to pick a side. And yeah, I do. I really like Volkov here. Volkov's going to get it done. So any which way you want to slice up Volkov, I like. Honestly, this is weird too. They got Volkov plus 138 on FanDuel, but you can get him double chance, KO or decision at plus 145. So you're getting another, whatever it is, 7 cents of value there. But
listen, man, those are some great prop ideas. I think that just about wraps it up. I mean, our strongest play this time is on the main event. How do you like it? I mean, we're going to be throwing down big on this one. We got a few other plays. Hey, Shark, what are like you're the most solid about that you ended up on? Just to wrap us up, quick recap for the listeners that made it this far. What are your top couple
final
plays?
thoughts? Your final thoughts.
All right, so my stronger plays right now. Now, keep in mind, we didn't see weigh-ins yet or any of that stuff, and I'm one of those that change my mind often. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. So let me just go through real quick. I do like Warlley Alves a lot. I like him a lot. Rachmanov, I like him a lot. I want to like him a lot. Something bothers, but I'm going to go with him. I'm going to stick with him. I like Moycano a lot. Alves, Moycano, Rachmanov. Who else do we got here? I do like Andre Fili as well. I like Barcelos, and I do like Volkov. I really have to sit down and really think hard of like my 2-3 strongest ones, what I'm going to really lay the chalk on.
All right, so yeah,
and I like
close
that
it off
dog,
here,
Stoliarenko.
The plays that I felt the strongest about on this card, straight from the top.
James, that was your best bet, right?
So our best bet here, I had Alexander Volkov, going to be throwing nicely on that. Guru came up with a great prop idea. Stay tuned. I might be doing Timur Valliev decision prop, keeping it small there. My big parlay as far as favorites go will be Tim Means and Andre Fili together. If you're feeling saucy, throw in Henato Moycano. And finally, as far as a couple long shot underdogs that I might play props on, Ike Villanueva and Justin James stand out to me. And Guru, take us away.
Yeah, I said a bunch of things tonight, so it's hard to remember all of them. I really like Volkov and all the different ways you can slice him up. That's probably my favorite bet of the night. Whether the fights go in the distance, whether it's Volkov decision, whether it's Volkov over 2.5. Volkov over 2.5 is probably my favorite.
That was my favorite.
That's probably my favorite.
I might have to put like 200 on there.
Yeah, I really might drop a deuce on that one. The deuce. And over 2.5 rounds.
At plus
Volkov, 225.
Plus 225. Yeah, I mean that's great. Anything else, Guru?
Oh, there was a bunch of things, right? I had the parlay, Andre Fili, Renato Moicano, and Warley Alves. I mean, Moicano is probably the one I would phase in and out, and then from there you could probably phase in and out Charles Rosa, Rahman over Charles Rosa. There wasn't a lot, right? We kind of maybe thought Danilo Marquez a little bit, but and then Tim Means. I like Tim Means by decision. I thought that was a pretty decent play. There was nothing you and I were different really on TB, right? Except for maybe
I was thinking maybe Janes, so that was one thing.
Like the only one. So I'll happily die on the side of Charles Rosa for fading Justin James. Shark?
Yes. You know, like for some weird reason, and I don't know why. I told someone this today, and they go, "Why?" And I couldn't come up with a reason why. But I like Dalby winning. I don't know why. I just have a feeling. I just see him winning at the end for some reason. And my boy asked me why and how, and I couldn't come up with a reason. And I was like starting to come up with some bullshit.
Esteemed guest, thank you so much for joining us at UFC Shark on Instagram. It is nowhere else. It's not Twitter. It's not Facebook. It's not MySpace. It's just Instagram, and it's just UFC Shark. Thanks so much for joining us, pal. Of course, really happy to have you.
Guys, I appreciate it, man. It's always good chopping it up with you.
Thank you so much for listening to us. This was a pretty extended version of UFC Vegas 30. You can follow us at Chronic Combat Conversations on YouTube and on Instagram. You can follow us at Chronic Combat on Twitter. Please look for us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Or if there's somewhere else where you get your podcast and we're not on, please hit us up and we'll get on there. While you're sharing, liking, and subscribing, feel free to give us a 5-star rating as well. You can follow my awesome co-host at TB Scouting MMA on Instagram, Twitter, Verdict, and Tapology. And you can follow me, _MMA Guru at Instagram, Twitter, Verdict, and Tapology. We may have some big changes on the horizon, so stay tuned. And if you listen this long, I guess I'll give you a sneak peek. UFC 264, we have the one and only. We have Clint from the Die Hard MMA podcast. And, man, I could not be more excited to have him on. He is somebody in this business that I've certainly looked up to. In terms of just being like an awesome guy that is just, really good to the fans. And I don't know, I just really can't wait to have him on. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. We have a week off next week, so we'll miss you.